When your legs feel heavy, when you notice that familiar aching tension after a long day, when your ankles look slightly puffed up at night, most people think the problem is in the legs themselves. They stretch, they elevate, they massage, and nothing really changes. What they're missing is that poor leg circulation is almost always a signal coming from somewhere else entirely. It's a message from your vascular system, your blood viscosity, in the inflammatory environment inside your vessels. And the fastest way to change that environment isn't a pill, a compression sleeve, or even exercise. It's something you drink. Now, I need you to pay close attention here because the drink I'm about to describe is not a smoothie. It's not a detox juice. It's not something you'll find trending on social media. This is something that sits at the intersection of old folk medicine and modern biochemistry. And once you understand why each ingredient works the way it does, you'll never want to go a morning without it. The first ingredient is raw ginger root, not powdered, not in a tea bag, raw, freshly grated ginger. Most people know ginger is anti-inflammatory and they leave it at that. But what almost nobody talks about is ginger's direct effect on platelet aggregation. In simple terms, ginger inhibits the tendency of platelets, the tiny cells in your blood, from clumping together unnecessarily. When platelets clump in your smaller vessels, they create a kind of microscopic traffic jam. Your blood thickens slightly, your circulation slows, and your legs, which are the farthest point from your heart, are the first to feel it. Fresh ginger, taken consistently, begins reversing this within days, not weeks, days. And the difference between raw ginger and dry ginger in this context is not small. The active compound responsible for this effect, called gingerol, is dramatically more potent in its raw form. When you dry or cook ginger, gingerol converts into something called shogal, which has its own benefits. But for circulatory impact, you want gingerol and you want it fresh. Half a thumb-sized piece grated directly into your drink each morning. That's all it takes. Keep reading, because the second ingredient is where things get genuinely unexpected, and it changes everything about how this drink actually works. The second ingredient is pomegranate juice, but not the kind you buy off the shelf. I'm talking about juice pressed directly from fresh pomegranate seeds, consumed the same day it's made. Here is what the research tells us that nobody in the wellness world seems to be shouting loud enough. Pomegranate juice has been shown in peer-reviewed clinical studies to reduce the thickness of arterial walls, increase the elasticity of blood vessels, and this is the part that should stop you in your tracks, reduce systolic blood pressure in a measurable, consistent way after just a few weeks of daily consumption. But more relevant to what we're talking about, pomegranate is one of the only foods on earth with significant concentrations of punicalagins, a class of polyphenols so powerful that they are actually absorbed into the lining of your blood vessels themselves. They don't just float through your bloodstream, they integrate. They structurally improve the vessel walls they pass through. When your vessel walls are more elastic, when they're less inflamed, less stiff, blood moves through them more freely, and your legs feel the difference in a way that is visceral and real. The heaviness lifts, the aching softens, the circulation wakes up. Now let's talk about the third ingredient. And this one requires a bit of patience, because to understand why it works, you need to understand one of the most overlooked mechanisms in vascular health. The third ingredient is black pepper. And before you dismiss this as ordinary, I need you to hold on. Black pepper contains a compound called piperine, and piperine does something extraordinary in this context. It acts as what biochemists call a bioavailability enhancer. In plain language, it makes everything else in this drink more powerful. Piperine inhibits certain enzymes in your gut and liver that would otherwise break down and neutralize the active compounds from the ginger and the pomegranate before they can reach your bloodstream at full concentration. When you add black pepper to this combination, you're not just adding a spice, you're unlocking the full potential of every other ingredient in the glass. Studies on piperine's bioavailability effects show it can increase absorption of certain compounds by up to 2,000% in some contexts. That is not a typo. 2,000%. This is why Ayurvedic medicine has paired black pepper with other herbs for centuries. Not for flavor, but for potency. A small pinch, literally just a few cracks of a pepper grinder, is enough. More is not better here. The goal is activation, not overwhelming the system. If you've made it this far, you're the kind of person who actually wants to understand what's happening in their body, not just follow instructions blindly. That's exactly why I want you to stay for the fourth ingredient, because this is the one that most people have in their kitchen right now and have never once thought to use this way. The fourth ingredient is apple cider vinegar, raw, unfiltered, with the mother intact. Now I know what you're thinking. Apple cider vinegar again. Everyone talks about it, but nobody, and I mean almost nobody, talks about its specific, documented effect on a process called glycolysis restoration. The glycolysis is a thin, gel-like layer that lines the inside of every blood vessel in your body. Think of it as the protective coating on the inside of a hose. When this layer is healthy, blood flows smoothly through your vessels without friction, without inflammation, without the vessel walls becoming tacky or reactive. When the glycolysis is damaged by high blood sugar, chronic inflammation, oxidative stress, poor diet, blood flow becomes turbulent, vessels narrow, circulation suffers. What makes apple cider vinegar relevant here is its acetic acid content and its direct effect on blood glucose regulation. When blood sugar spikes repeatedly throughout the day, the glycolysis degrades faster than it can repair itself. Acetic acid from apple cider vinegar, taken in the morning before food, measurably blunts the post-meal blood sugar response for hours afterward. That means less glycolytic damage over the course of a day. Over 5 days that accumulates, the vessels begin to heal from the inside. And when you're already giving your vascular system ginger, pomegranate, and piperine, the combination creates a synergistic effect that no single ingredient could produce alone. 1 tablespoon of raw apple cider vinegar, diluted in water, is all you need. So now you have the full picture. Grated raw ginger, fresh pressed pomegranate juice, a pinch of black pepper, and 1 tablespoon of unfiltered apple cider vinegar. Mix together in a glass with a little cold water or coconut water if you prefer something slightly sweeter. Consumed in the morning before breakfast on an empty stomach so your digestive system can absorb every compound at maximum efficiency. That's it. That's the drink. But here's what I want you to understand before you decide whether this is worth trying. The reason so many people fail to see results from health drinks and supplements isn't that the ingredients don't work. It's that they try something for 2 days, feel nothing dramatic, and quit. Vascular change is not a 2-day phenomenon. What we're talking about here is cellular adaptation, the gradual compounding repair of blood vessel walls, the progressive reduction of platelet clumping, the slow restoration of the glycolysis. On day 1, you likely won't feel much. By day 3, some people report a subtle but real reduction in leg heaviness in the evening. By day 5, the change becomes harder to deny. Not because this drink is magic, because your body has been starved of these specific compounds in combination. And when you finally provide them consistently, it responds fast. There's also something worth mentioning that almost no one in this space discusses: the role of morning timing specifically. Your circadian biology governs your vascular tone. Cortisol, which peaks in the early morning hours, triggers a temporary spike in blood viscosity, a natural evolutionary response to prepare your body for the physical demands of the day. This is also the window of highest cardiovascular risk for people with compromised circulation. Taking this drink during that morning cortisol peak isn't just convenient, it's strategically timed to intervene at the exact moment your circulation is under its greatest daily stress. You are working with your biology, not against it. Let me be direct with you for a moment. And this matters. I'm not telling you this drink replaces medical care. If you have a diagnosed condition involving circulation, venous insufficiency, deep vein thrombosis, peripheral artery disease, you have a doctor for a reason, and that relationship matters more than anything you can pour into a glass. What I am telling you is that for the vast majority of people experiencing the diffuse, low-grade circulatory sluggishness that accumulates from sedentary modern life, from processed food, from chronic low-level inflammation, this combination addresses the actual root mechanisms in a way that almost nothing else does with this level of simplicity. And here's the part that I find most compelling, the part I keep coming back to. Every single one of these four ingredients has been used in traditional medicine systems for at least several hundred years. Ginger in Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine, pomegranate in Persian and Middle Eastern medicine, black pepper as a medicinal potentiator across a dozen cultures, vinegar in Greek and Roman medicine going back to Hippocrates himself. For most of human history, these weren't health trends. They were baseline tools, the knowledge was common. Then we built an industrial food system, a pharmaceutical industry, a supplement market, and somewhere along the way we forgot what people used to know in their bones. This drink is not a discovery, it's a recovery of knowledge that was always there, now supported by the molecular biology we didn't have the tools to articulate until recently. If you've been struggling with tired legs, cold feet, nighttime restlessness in your lower limbs, or that strange, heavy feeling that settles in after sitting for long periods, I want you to try something for me. Commit to 5 days. Not one, not three. 5 consecutive mornings with this drink on an empty stomach before you eat anything else. Keep everything else in your life the same. Same exercise, same diet, same sleep. Change nothing but this one variable. And pay attention, not just to your legs, but to your energy in the afternoon, to the quality of your sleep, to the clarity of your skin, to the subtle lift in your overall sense of vitality. Because what improves blood flow to your legs improves blood flow everywhere. Your brain, your skin, your organs. They all receive the same upstream benefit. This is the kind of shift that doesn't announce itself loudly. It doesn't hit you like a drug. It builds quietly, day by day, like a tide coming in. And on day 5, when you notice that you walked upstairs without that familiar ache, when you look at your ankles at the end of the day and realize the swelling isn't there, when you stand up after sitting for 2 hours and your legs feel like they belong to you again, remember this moment. Remember that you gave your body 5 days of something real, and it answered. If this was useful to you, share it. Not because sharing content helps algorithms, but because someone in your life is probably sitting right now with heavy legs, dismissing it as just getting older, and they deserve to know this exists. Tag them. Send them this. Tell them about the 4 ingredients. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do for the people we love is hand them information they didn't know to look for. The ginger is in your grocery store. The pomegranate is in season right now. The pepper is on your kitchen table. The apple cider vinegar might already be in your cabinet. You have everything you need. The only thing left is to start, and to start tomorrow morning, before you eat, before your day takes over, before your intentions fade into the noise of everything else. 5 days, that's all this asks of you.